Rizwan Qadri runs an architect firm with 3 partners, all Hindus, in India's western city of Ahmedabad in Gujarat state. Son of a revenue official, he grew up in mixed neighborhoods. In 2002, a massive anti-Muslim riot sparked by the burning of a train carrying Hindu pilgrims left more than 1,000 people dead in Gujarat. A few months before the riots, Mr. Qadri moved out with his wife and son from the mixed neighborhood where he has been living for the past 24 years in a Muslim apartment building in Johapur, one of India's largest Muslim ghettos on the outskirts of Ahmedabad. A year later, his aging parents joined him. The move was prompted by concerns over safety more than anything else, says Qadri. Ahmedabad, the main city of Gujarat, was ruled by the Prime Minister Narendra Modi for more than a decade. It is among many Indian cities where segregated housing is alive and well. A range of old reasons like caste and cultural difference and some relatively new ones such as migrations and religious tensions have led to a proliferation of what urban sociologist Loic Wacquant, referring to ghettos in French and American cities, has described as neighborhoods of exile. Johapur, an obscure village-turned ghetto of some 4 lakh Muslims, is one of such neighborhood of exile. The heart of this dystopian sprawl is clogged with narrow lanes, tumble-down tenements, overflowing sewers and rubbish mountains. Public transport stays away from the neighborhood. The wider streets are lined by a rash of new high-rise gated Muslim properties costing up to 6 million rupees. A forthcoming gated 14-store property with some 800 apartment promises a mall, club, separate gym for men and women and prayer rooms and a mosque. Ghettos are also a great leveler. The stench of rubbish walls from the grubby, low-stung tenements to Qadri's apartment just a mile away. The air is polluted. The streets are bumpy and pockmarked. Segregation has inevitably led to curious business opportunities. Sensing that mixed neighborhoods were fast disappearing and even well-to-do Muslims were finding it a problem to buy property, Ahmedabad-based entrepreneur Muhammad Ali Hussain began a property fair conducting Muslim builders with buyers. More than 40,000 potential buyers have turned up for the 2 fairs he's held so far, checking out and buying houses offered by 25 Muslim builders. Earlier, communities lived in a segregated neighborhoods for cultural reasons, says Mr. Hussain. Now, the reason is fear of the other. In a deeply divided and hierarchical society like India, segregated living and housing has existed for centuries. Mumbai has community-based vegetarians-only housing societies. Delhi and Calcutta have Muslim ghettos, crowded, run-down and neglected. A planned apartment coming up in Delhi promises dream homes for elite Muslim brotherhood. Ahmedabad has always divided on caste, community and religious lines. But as analysts say, the ghettoism was relative in the sense that Muslim-dominated areas coexisted with Hindu-dominated ones. These mixed neighborhoods disappeared after Muslims became the main victims in communal riots, which have gone on par with the growing socio-economic marginalization, wrote Christopher Jaffer Lott and Thomas Charlotte in their study of ghettoism in Ahmedabad. The division of the past appeared to be more cultural in nature. The division of today appeared to be rooted in fear, distrust and enemy. Mr. Qadri says he was picking up an order at a burger chain drive-thru a few years ago when he overheard the manager asking one of his delivery boys not to deliver to Johapur because people will chop you in pieces if you go there. Rising urbanization was expected to blur religious and social boundaries, but that hasn't happened. So, despite the fact that more than a third of Indian Muslims live in cities and towns, making them the most urbanized community of a significant size, poverty and discrimination continue to easily push them into ghettos. Even Dalits, formerly known as untouchables, who escaped the stifling caste and caste-based discrimination of their village to live and work in the cities, find that they still end up living in ghettos. Kamlesh Revabai Chauhan is a Dalit builder in Ahmedabad who helps his community members find cheap homes. He says he has built some 150 tenements and apartments in the last 2 decades, costing anything between 3 lakh and 2 million rupees. These days, he is building 90 more properties, tiny self-contained apartments in Sarkej on the outskirts of Ahmedabad. Dalits are not given housing or shelter by other communities, so they buy homes from me in Dalit areas. They sell their land in the villages and buy homes here. He says his homes have been brought by policemen, clerks, factory workers and traders. Azad Nagar, Fatehwadi is one such Dalit ghetto. The better off residents live in bigger, brightly painted homes, while the poorer ones live in poky, unkept tenements on a different street. Naresh Parmar, who lives in 2-bedroom 140 square yard house with air conditioning, running water, rents house his 2 road rollers for living. 10 years ago, he bought this house from Mr. Chauhan for 5 million rupees. There is a swing and a rope bed on the veranda. This is like my village. I like the environment. When it becomes crowded like the city, I will pack up and go back to village, he says. There is almost what many say is a conscientious silence on segregated living. Last month, Mumbai's municipality passed a resolution saying that it should stop a residential project if the builder plans to sell it on the grounds of caste, religion, or food preference. It is not clear whether this can be enforced. In the end, segregated housing, now increasingly divided by religious discrimination, is a blight on India's progress. This marks the end of intimacy and formal integration of communities that every modern and civilized society needs, says political psychologist Ashish Nandi. Mr. Kadri offers his examples to show how much segregation is harming India. I am what I am because I grew up in a cosmopolitan environment in mixed neighborhoods, he says. Unfortunately, my 12-year-old son does not have the same privilege as he is growing up in a ghetto. This is a big tragedy. We are moving backwards.